14 years ago, two young women from Chennai set out to show the world how faith and compassion can make all the difference. Only 22 years old then, Vandana and Vaishnavi started the Banyan in order to restore dignity to the lives of destitute and mentally ill women.
I think it's good that we held on to our dreams. And it just shows that every individual can make a huge difference and do exactly what he or she guns for.
They were both from middle-class families, close friends, and had promising careers ahead. But for them, caring for the invisible had far greater importance than just material pursuits.
You must meet Ramachandran. He was actually treated in IMH, and post that he went through a little bit of vocational skills training, and now he actually has been discharged from the Institute of Mental Health, and he works here as enna pandringana sollunga.
Store levels.
He works in the store. So he's been rehabilitated right here. He works and he earns evlo salary?
1,500.
1,500 for a start. So otherwise he would have just been on the streets and without any scope of rehabilitation. Now he's an asset to the Banyan. So this is what the Banyan is about. It's about little miracles that make a change in people's lives.
What sparked off the Banyan movement was an encounter with a half-naked, mentally ill homeless woman in absolute distress on the road in front of Vandana's college in 1993.
At that point, I think what hit us really hard was that there were a lot of women around standing right outside the college. And for some reason, people sort of hesitate to reach out.
And I remember going back, and for some reason, it was that image of this lady on Harrows Road who we could not help, just kept playing in my head. It was just like some kind of computer loop which just goes on and on and on.
I took up a job. I lasted in the job for a day. My calling was anyway medical and psychiatric social work. I was very clear that this is what I want to do. Whereas for her, it was pretty much a shift in field. Her calling was really the MBA program, but she chose to opt out of it and join hands with me right from the beginning.
It took me, that entire night to decide that it really doesn't matter. Yes, you might have to give up on a few assets, advantages to be there when you're actually needed most, rather than, come when it's convenient for you, and come at a point of time when most of the struggle is done. I remember that night, and I think by the morning I had made my decision. That was it.
So I would actually call it a spate of incidents, not so much planned, not so much charged only by altruism and spirit, but also a little bit of accident, a little bit of friendship, and a little bit of need for challenge and adventure, and of course a lot of feel good kind of a sensation that goes through you when you want to do something like this, that especially at age 22, when you want to make the world sort of a better place to live in.
But in a way, the very fact that we had no option but to make it happen was paradoxically one of the greatest strengths, because when you have no option but to make something succeed, because you're the only option, you just have to make it somehow.
The Banyan's journey is testimony to the fact that in humanity's greatest suffering are sown the seeds of its greatest victories.
starts, we try and make it as homely, as fun, as spirited as possible. So they know that this is not the end of their journey, but the beginning. And they're going to get out, they're going to have dreams that they can fulfill. They're going to have a life independent of all of this. And that's the whole idea of dance, music, work, interaction, fun.
Since it was established in 1993, the Banyan has constantly redefined itself in order to better address the issues of financial stability and self-sustenance for the women who are on the road to rehabilitation here.
Let's just take that meeting. Let's meet Krishnamurti and Lakshmi Prakash together over here. Let's establish contact with Kishore. So this is where it all began. Brings back a lot of memories because coming here after a long, long while. We used to live in this little room in front and all the other residents. And then we moved across to the building right across. We'll go there. But this is very special because I think this stands for all that we were, and the only thing that saw us through was the strength of conviction, courage, a lot of grit, of course passion. But if it hadn't been for all of that, I think we would have given up. We had amazing neighbors here who were really supportive. Even between that building and this building, there's such a lot of shift because that was people, their problems, their work, and the backgrounds they came from and the magnitude of the problem, all of that. And this was, since there's that, let's get into fundraising and all of that. With this began the people's movement of the Banyan. That was more work with our women and insular and try and see what little good that we can do. And this is such a huge problem, and let's get as many people as possible involved, more stakeholders, and just converting the Banyan into a people.
While Ideal Kalam, meaning a place of refuge in Tamil, remains a transit care centre for women who are in their several stages of recovery, Spice Route is a novel social enterprise initiative set up within the protected community of Kovalam on the outskirts of Chennai.
So we headed out to Kovalam today. Our projects at Kovalam, which I think in our opinion are an immediate response or an offshoot of the project Transit Care Centre itself. All these years we've been thinking inward, we've been thinking about the Banyan, the women of the Banyan, and how we can rehabilitate them and their problems and all of that. Now we moved a step beyond. Sometimes it hurts us to be a part of the privileged lot. We have access to so much. We live such a privileged life, whatever that we have, little more, whatever, but we don't have to strive for food. We don't have to strive for a little bit of entertainment. Every day is not a struggle.
The building of self-worth and confidence is a defining aspect of the Banyan experience. Perhaps no sacrifice is too big when one has set out to work for the marginalized, the invisible, and the powerless.
We've given up on pride, especially when, given the kind of people we are, Vandana and myself, to have been able to go from a situation where you'd rather die than, ask for a favor, to complete 360-degree, turn to just about asking all the time.
With your support, with Mani's support, and a lot of others who are not just involved in an advisory capacity, but I know that each one of you will really give it your absolute might because you feel that kind of
You
passion.
direct and we'll work.
Oh, come on. No. It's
Now where we think that it's every person's duty, and all we're doing is just helping another person to do their duty. So to go from, one extreme of shyness and embarrassment to now where you could call us brazen in the asking respect. Well, we sacrificed pride.
We don't get paid for the job. Nothing at all. The only regret that I have personally is that I haven't really earned any money for myself. So I've either depended on my parents or on my friends or on my husband. Everything is linked to the Banyan. Even if I go, even if I earn, then I feel obliged to give it back to the Banyan. So in that sense, I feel sometimes a little weak because I'm not economically self-sufficient.
We're not looking at the Banyan as a legacy, as something tangible which we have done. We gave up that identity of us with the organization a long time back, and now the Banyan is not Vandana and Vaishnavi's touch on the whole thing. The Banyan is so many people's, everything. It's not ours any longer. At the end of it, what really matters to us is if the work gets done. If someone's going to do the work better, and no issues. It doesn't matter whether the Banyan is there or not. What really matters is if the work is done and done well.